Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me into your homes and into your spaces. Let me just take a moment to look through and connect with you. So beautiful. I miss all of you so much. So it's wonderful to be together in this also very wonderful remote way, because I'm in Northampton, Massachusetts, and we can be together. So usually on Sunday morning, the Soto Zen group that I sit with here in Northampton has a sit, and then afterwards we have a community brunch and check-in. So, you know, people bring their bagels and their bowls of yogurt and their fresh cup of coffee. And then we just go around and everybody has a few minutes to check in, to share what's really up in their lives, in their practice, in their hearts. It's been a powerful circle of sharing and of really opening and connecting that I think has been very helpful for me in holding me during this last year of mostly isolation at home, being withdrawn somewhat, and maintaining the connections and in a way deepening the connections. So I just wanted to name and appreciate that, and hope that you can also find, and that you have also found, ways of remaining in connection where you can really connect deeply and honestly with others, and sort of practice together in figuring out what the practice of this moment is really for you. So I missed, I'm currently missing my partner. Roger is in the next room as being part of the check-in. So I thought maybe I can do my little check-in today with you here. So what's really on my mind and on my heart is it's yet another Dharma talk that I give after people have been killed in situations of racial violence, in situations. I think there was the killing at the gay nightclub in Florida a number of years ago, and it's like, oh, we're back here again. And there were. So I just want to say the names of the people who were killed as a way of bringing them into our community, into our hearts. There was Soon Chung Park, Hyun Jung Grant, Sancha Kim, Young A Yue, Delana Ashley Yawn, Paul Andre Michaels, Xiao Jie Tan, and Dao Yu Feng. Another reminder that sexism and racism is really alive. and is leading to violence. So what is it that leads to that sense of disconnection, of separation, of blame, of making other, and seeing the attack on others as somehow resolving something? And also noticing that if you look at it, the perpetrators are men. Again and again. So what is it about, I don't know, the sense of masculinity that really needs to be upheld, defended, protected through these acts of violence? Last week after after Kojin's beautiful Shuso Hossen talk, there was an opportunity for people to step up and ask questions. And one of the questions that came up was, what about the cat? And that really just broke my heart. What about that cat? What about the women who were killed? And so I look into my own heart and see what are situations in my own life where that sense of separation, of me and them, really comes up. And often takes me away into areas where I think, whoa, what happened here? What happened here? Why does it seem so important to really make that point so strongly? Was it necessary to interrupt the other person as they were talking, even though I disagree with what they're saying? So as I think, as you may know, I teach mathematics and mathematics education at Westfield State University here in Massachusetts. And the pandemic has led to strong added financial strain on institutions in higher education because students are making different choices. And also it may not be safe for students to be on campus because so that means that the school closes and sends them home, but that also means that the money for the mortgages on the dorm buildings is not fed by the fees of the students living there. Also, the number of students of high school age has been going down for, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. And if you look at the demographics, it's going to continue going down. So we have all of these colleges and universities that were built for a much larger group of students. So will students come? What choices do they make? And ultimately, the numbers of students coming to each of the institution is going down, which means less revenue. And at the same time, you have faculty, you have buildings, you have staff, you have a whole infrastructure that was designed for a different size. So many universities are struggling financially. on the big piece structurally, but also sort of intensified by COVID. So in the state system, there are schools where currently there are furloughs going on. There is discussion of retrenchment, which essentially means closing departments and possibly laying off people who are tenured. It means cutting staff, it means hiring freezes. And Westfield has chosen a different way. There was really a vision of bringing together the whole campus, that in a way the whole campus knew what needed to happen, could work together to figure out what needed to happen, and create a sense of trust and collaboration around that to find a way without furloughs, layoffs, and retrenchment. Recognizing that furloughs and retrenchment sort of cut across the board. These cuts are not strategic. They don't actually change anything about the overall direction of the institution. So I mentioned this just as a framework because there are major changes that are being proposed, and some of them have to do with the general education program. And as somebody teaching mathematics, there is a mathematics requirement for general education. And much of the work that I do serves that general education population. I've sort of dedicated part of my professional life to that. Discovering the art of mathematics is one project I've been involved in. And I notice all of a sudden there's all this tightness. It's like, oh my God, they're changing this. What's going to happen if, I don't know, if we don't offer as many courses? What if I can't offer the course that I like to teach, which I think really gets at the heart of what students need? And then do they really need so many arts courses? Or are the arts courses actually more important than the mathematics or the sciences? And all of a sudden, all these, all these walls and silos and me's and them's and a lot of energy behind it is right there, And then, if I'm lucky, I notice it before I do or say something. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just when, I said something and it's like, what? Wow, where did that come from? Was that really necessary? And to stop and look a little deeper at what's actually underneath that. And there's a fear. There is sort of, it taps into, I don't know, some kind of existential tribal part of our brain, maybe the alligator part of our brain, the reptilian part of our brain that says, I need to have my own thing. I need to be safe. No, changing it is terrible. That creates all kind of uncertainty. Right. So all of a sudden, there's the division. There's the sense of protectiveness. And the flip side of that protectiveness is an aggression, right? One of the things that I do at Westfield is I sort of co-host a once a week lunchtime meditation meeting. And it happens in the middle of the day on Wednesdays. And it's a wonderful, wonderful little group of people. And it's such a powerful way for me to check in what is actually going on with me. Sort of, in the middle of my workday. I have meetings before, I have classes after. And it's surprising to notice in my body how there is tension. There is sort of, the brain is already going to the next thing. The brain is sort of, going over what had happened before, and it's like so caught. So it's such a wonderful opportunity to feel that in my body and say, huh. I think as Bernie Glassman used to say, what's the deal here? What's the deal here? What are the things that really we get hooked by? I get hooked by. And the one piece that often comes up for me, I don't know if you're familiar with that, it's from Joko Beck. It's sort of four lines that she put together. It says, caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Being just this moment, compassion's way. So what is it like for you when you find yourself caught in that self-centered dream? What does that feel like bodily? What does that feel like in terms of the tone of voice in your mind? Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. And holding to self-centered thoughts. What is it like for you when you hold to those self-centered thoughts? And for me, in my mind, thinking about those meetings in governance, it's like sort of going over and looping the story and looping the story, and in a way, I think that for me the story loops and sort of has even more energy the more underneath it I know that it's not quite the full story, right? It's like I'm sort of reinforcing and tightening my positions because I recognize that it's not actually the whole truth. And it actually excludes big parts of what is going on. There is a koan in the Blue Cliff record that I think speaks to that. It's case 19. 2 teas, 1 finger chan. Whenever anything was asked, Chu Ti would just raise 1 finger. What was Chu Ti pointing out? And I think some of you may remember the story. There is a longer version of that koan in the Mumonkan, where a student also tries to use Chu Ti's finger and has it cut off as a result. So what is Chu Ti pointing to? Well, in this moment, it's pointing to grief about the women who were killed, anger at the violence, a sense of helplessness in the face of the enormity of the structures of racism and sexism. Life as it is, the only teacher. And being willing to be with and experience what is here opens to the way for seeing actions that are appropriate for you. The finger pointing exactly to your particular, your individual, your particular, your special situation, your unique circumstances, the unique network, your unique place in the network that you're in. There's something to do. And if you look quietly, I think you will find out what it is for you. So when somebody asks, what about the cat? Just let your heart break. Thank you.